All right, this is our third video with art movements that we're talking about. Third art movement that we're going to talk about today is Neoclassicism. Neoclassicism is similar to Renaissance art, although this comes about a century after Renaissance art. So this is, again, renewed interest in classical Greece and Rome, and the paintings and there's sculptures that go along with this. A lot of the buildings inside the Capitol, the White House, are among some of the more famous neoclassic architectures. But the paintings are going to focus on beauty and high moral qualities, and this played a role in Europe from the 1760s to the 1820s. Our first neoclassic piece, one of my favorite, this is called the Oath of Hority. This painting was done by the French painter Jean-Luc David, and it was painted in 1784. So here we have the three brothers that are swearing their oath. And according to the Roman historian Livy, the characters in this painting are warning Rome, and the three brothers, they're about to go into battle, and they're all swearing an oath to each other. So you've got the three brothers here with their arms around each other. They're swearing the oath to the swords. Meanwhile, on the right-hand side of the painting, you've got the wives that are, just showing strong emotion that they do not want their husbands to go into battle. Notice the depth and the perspective within this painting. Again, three-dimensional, single light source coming in, as well as you've got basic columns and arches appearing in this painting, making it a very unique painting by Jean-Luc David. The French painter David was so successful with this painting, he gained a lot of notoriety, and it really propelled him, especially if you look at the time period, 1784, this is right at the beginning of the French Revolution. So his next painting, even a little bit more famous, and this is The Death of Socrates, and that was painted in 1787. Now, you have seen this painting before when we studied ancient Greece and Rome, when we read Plato's Apology. Painting was up on the screen. This is from the neoclassic time period. This is not from ancient Greece or Rome, but it's depicting a high moral value. In the Oath of Hority, you've got the soldiers swearing allegiance to each other, swearing to do their best to die for the Roman Empire. And here, with the death of Socrates, you have Socrates, standing up for the triumph of reason almost. So in both instances, these paintings, you've got men and women standing up for the high and supreme morals, the ideas of what is right and what is wrong. So here we have Socrates, cloaked in a robe. He's about to drink the hemlock, and we've read all about that. In the background through the arched hallway, you can see kind of men despairing. And beneath that, you've got some of the other men kind of chagrining as the idea of reason and death come into play. Again, right on the eve of the French Revolution. So you've got the ideas of the French Revolution, the American Revolution, and the ideas of the Enlightenment kind of also combining in this painting. All right. Next, this is one that you guys saw with the French Revolution. This is the death of Marat. Okay, Marat, we said, was the political malcontent who was advocating for heavy revolution. He's in his bathtub, and you can see the bathtub, the water is bloodied. You can see the dagger wound in his chest as he's laying dead in his bathtub, and there is this the poignard, the stiletto knife that was used to murder him. Again, this was a Marat, a very neoclassic piece, making him out to look like the dead Christ. But again, the idea that Marat died for as profound as revolution. Next piece that we saw in class when we studied Napoleon. This is 1801. This is Napoleon at St. Bernard Pass. This is a purely neoclassic piece. Here's Napoleon on his horse in the heat of battle. The horse is rearing. It's up on two legs. Napoleon looking confident and in charge and dashing as he leads into battle. The wind is blowing through the horse's hair and is blowing his cape as he leads his men into battle. A very famous piece. All right. And then that'll take us to Romanticism. This is the third art movement, the fourth one that we're going to talk about. This began in the 1700s. And again, this glorified natures, and a lot of these paintings will evoke a strong emotion, and a lot of these capture the beauty of nature. We'll talk a little bit about Romanticism, early Romanticism, now, and then in class, in a couple weeks, we'll talk about later Romanticism as a response to the French Revolution and Industrial Revolution. Our first romantic piece that we're going to take a look at is by Henry Faucigny, and this is called The Nightmare. And again, the idea is that romantic artists will use strong emotions or strong contrasts to kind of appeal to your emotions. So here, very simply, you've got a woman who is unconscious. Perhaps she was unconscious, or perhaps she's just dreaming. But outside of her body, and again, notice the woman is all in white to symbolize purity. But here in the darkness, we've got the horse, dark horse, and we've got kind of like a gremlin-looking man who's sitting on top of her. So this is the artist showing that this woman's dreams or her nightmares have escaped her body and are coming to life. Again, a painting that's showing strong emotion here. The next painting we'll talk about is called The Wrath of Medusa. All right, not one of the more famous romantic pieces, but a romantic piece nevertheless. In this painting, you can tell kind of the desperation of a disaster at sea. The Wrath of Medusa had run aground on a coral reef off the coast of Africa while transporting 400 soldiers to the colony of Senegal. This raft was commissioned, or this expedition was commissioned by Louis the 18th. Well, what happened was the captain, after the ship ran aground, commanded that all the lifeboats be disembarked, and that left 150 men in the water, and there were heavy seas at that time period. So what ends up happening is these men are lying desperate on this raft, and you can see the men, the waves in the background, huge waves, crashing over this tiny raft. The idea of desperation, the men looking almost emaciated, but off in the distance, off in the very, very distance on the horizon, you can see a figure, a ship, and you can see the men kind of reaching out, calling out, screaming out to it. The idea of desperation really play with the Wrath of Medusa. A really strong, powerful piece. All right, the next painting is by Goya, and this is Saturn devouring one of his children. We know that one of his children ends up being Jupiter, but this is an idea that's emblematic of the French Revolution. We remember that the French Revolution, the people had consumed themselves and began devouring themselves as the revolution consumed itself. So that could be what Goya was thinking about when he painted this piece. All right, another famous piece by Jean-Jacques David. This is a romantic piece. This is 1807, The Coronation of Napoleon. This embodies the idea of Napoleon becoming an emperor, we said, holding up the crown at his coronation. This was a piece that we discussed in class last week. Another unique piece, probably one of the most famous romantic pieces during this time period, was from the French Revolution, and this is called Liberty Leading the People. And this is painted in 1830, and this is by an artist called Eugene Delacroix. And what you have here, you have Liberty leading the people. She's waving the tricolor flag, the red, white, and blue flag of the French Revolution. You can see down below are the dead. And in the background, you've got young boys and men and women leading the revolution. Now, she's waving the tricolor flag to symbolize revolution. But don't confuse that for the French Revolution. Because remember, we said there were all sorts of revolutions that took place. There was the 1832 Summer Revolution. in Paris, France. So there was a lot of turmoil during this time, but here is the figurative liberty leading the people onward to victory. A very unique painting indeed. If you look in the one hand, Liberty is waving the tricolor flag, we said, and in the other hand, what's she holding? She's holding a rifle. And here she is encouraging the men and women of the revolution to press on, move over the rubble, and take to the streets and revolt. Again, the painting evokes very strong emotion in favor of revolution. Finally, the last two pieces that I'll show you, they're a little bit calmer, but again, this is Romanticism. Here we have a man on a boat called The Voyage. He's on a boat, calm seas, and there's an angel guiding him, perhaps up into heaven. But again, the seas are calm, he's off on a rocky shoal, and you've got strong light coming in from above. Sharp contrast here. And then the next piece, this is from an American artist capturing, I think this is the Arkansas River. Again, the idea of a beautiful sunset, striking emotion. And I think we've all had, a point where at the end of the day we looked out and we saw kind of the pinkish glow from the setting sun. I know I have, and I know many of you guys probably recall this maybe towards the end of the summer. Days are getting a little shorter. Suns are setting a little shorter in the afternoon, and there's the effect is kind of the purple and pinkish hue of the cloud. Again, the painting here is just to describe very strong and powerful emotion. All right. So that gives you just a sense of kind of the art movement. So we looked at Mannerism, we looked at Baroque, we looked at Neoclassicism, and we also looked at Romanticism. So these four art movements will carry us forward up until the time of the Industrial Revolution, when photography becomes pronounced and very important. So in a couple weeks, we'll take a look at the artistic reaction to photography with Impressionism and Post-Impressionism. All right, if you need to watch these videos again, do so. They will be on your test later this week.